Ganassi car.
There is Laia Sanz. She will be a little bit of a disadvantage, but to be honest, I think the track is changing so quickly. And also, of all the drivers, she's probably one who is very well placed to read the sand. You know, 10 Dakar and she's 9 on a bike. She knows how to read the road.
I think that bird was in competition with our drones. So you can get the best bird's eye view. Fantastic out there. So the dunes are waiting for them. Those big grass hillocks as well, ready to catch anybody out. And the lights red at the moment, not quite ready to go racing.
Leduc looking super calm on board the Hummer EV.
This is our starting grid for semi-final 2. As you can see, Chip Ganassi versus Acciona Sainz versus Genesis Andretti United. This is a great battle. Leduc, Sanz, Munnings. They had to choose who would go in the car first. Strategically looking ahead to the final, Andrew Coley, who's alongside me, Jenny Gow in commentary, Laura Winter down in the pit lane, and you've got to choose the right driver for what you think will be the right outcome at the right point.
You have to place your bets on when you think you need which driver to, you know, is it the start? Do you want to chase them down? Do you want to do the opposite of the other teams because you think you have the faster female or the faster male? You know, whichever way you do it, it's tactical to get the car to the final and then see if you can get that win.
A lot of these drivers with limited experience of going wheel to wheel and really having to bang and make contact, but I tell you what, they're soon learning and learning fast. All of these drivers returning for a second season. So let's see. Eyes to the left or right. Some of the drivers complaining they were finding it difficult to see those start lights yesterday. Oh, final little pull on the belts for Katie Munnings. And we are almost ready for the start of semi-final 2 in Extreme E Round 1, Season 2. Green, the cars are away from the line and it looks like a very even match so far. Andretti United on the right trying to ease through. Acciona Sainz getting a little bit of a run now, and Chip Ganassi to the left-hand side just trying to drag race up to the first turn. So is Acciona Sainz taking the line, but look at this, taking the outside line and trying to get on the inside for turn 2. Somehow they've found some great pace for Ganassi. We know Kyle Leduc is an absolute demon in the car, and he is proving to be very aggressive out there. They needed good luck and good fortune, but this is a great showing for the car for Leduc to get out there, and Sainz and Sanz just trying to close the gap at the moment. Leia hunting him down.
Brilliant there by Kyle Leduc. He got the worst start of the 3 cars for me. It looked like he dropped back, but he's managed to keep the car full throttle. Munnings, you see, glances down at the wheel and uses a hyperdrive. Now going to try and pass Sanz in the background. You can see the extra power carrying her along. This will narrow to one line, though. She's got to get it done soon before the camel grass comes in. Right up behind Laia Sanz. She's going to pull out from the outside. Watch out for the grass. Katie Munnings trying for a move here. Can she go late on the brakes? I don't think she's quite going to get there.
Yeah, unfortunately for her, the track narrows right down at the rock section. She's closed the gap in, but has she used that hyperdrive too early? Now it's gone. And Sainz might be able to use it more defensively if she needs to, but this is a thick rutted section. The sand flings up behind the cars. This is working perfectly for Chip Ganassi. They're managing to steal a little bit more lead. They're about 5 seconds ahead now of the Acciona Sainz team.
So looking up ahead, is this where the RXR car it went through the bump, isn't it, and went super slow? I think on the inside line. You see where they're crossing across the bumps now, Munnings on that inside. It was where we saw the bad bounce, and it almost came to a halt. So they all went with a slightly higher line to give them a different way of crossing those bumps. The gap now 4.63 between Chip Ganassi Racing and Acciona Sainz. Munnings will and Sanz will want to stay in touch with Kyle Leduc as much as they can. Obviously, they don't want to give their teammates too much work to do after the switch.
Yeah, just remember, Chip Ganassi have not had it easy in Extreme E. Whenever they've been out in front, disaster has struck. So for them, it's really important that they can get a really clean, decent run in, don't have any disasters, and get their car through to the final. That's the battle for them. Look at that shot. It's absolutely beautiful. As you can see, the course twisting round, the drone keeping up with our cars. Out in front, it is Leduc, then it's Sanz, and then you can see Katie Munnings just trying to find the right line to propel herself forward and take some speed down through this very fast, flat section.
Kyle Leduc already in it in the Hummer EV. They made the final once last year in Sardinia, and if you remember, they were leading it. by a mile. They checked out. Kyle Leduc had done this out front. Only semis now, of course, but he'd done this. He was miles in front. And then poor Sarah Price, when she took over, the car broke. So they will just be desperate to book that slot in the final. They don't need massive risk here, but the bigger the gap, the better. So Sarah can just chill a little bit and not have to take the same level of risk on her lap. Get it to the final and get the job done there. Meanwhile, behind, yeah, it's a bit of a closer battle.
Yeah, it certainly is. You've got Laia Sanz in the car just in front of Munnings. Munnings needs to try and close this gap down. This is the very rutted section. We saw Veloce and Christine GZ have her problem yesterday. The car went somersaulting, got just stuck into the sand, and it can really claim you.
Here comes Leduc down to the switch zone at the bottom of the hill. Going to be pretty much status quo is at the end of this one. 11.57, okay, 13.3. So let's see what it is once they get into the switch at the bottom of the hill. He's managed to take another couple of seconds out over that last sector. We'll get it now as Sanz comes in. That will give us the true gap, if you like, as she comes into the switch zone. Looking up at my screen, 15.5 on the timing screens here in the commentary box. So Leduc has edged out 15.5, but it's only 1.4, and you can see the gap. It's nothing between these.
Yeah, the switch zone's so important as well for how you can approach this. Let's have another look at the start, because you can see Chip Ganassi get a slower start than anybody else on the left-hand side, but all of a sudden they managed to do a slingshot.
I think Leduc just carries momentum. You know, if you look here, he probably hasn't lifted. The car only gets a little way sideways. He picks a lovely line in between the camel grass. Still, he's got his foot absolutely buried, just taking as much momentum as you can. Don't forget that Sanz and Munnings would also have been side by side. They're looking at each other. They're trying to give each other a little bit of space, maybe a tiny little throttle lift here and there, and that made the difference. So Leduc managed to get the whole shot. Dust not bad this morning. I do think it actually looks drier in that rutted section where we saw the big roll yesterday. You can see the sand is collapsing a bit more, so that's maybe slightly less risky than it was, but the problem is in your head you're like, ooh, this is the bad bit. So you know, you have a little cheeky little lift and maybe lose some time. So Sarah Price is going to release the car first, bottom left of your screen. The American off-road expert driver going to be heading out of the switch zone with a 15-second lead.
Carlos Sainz is the man in the middle. El Matador will try and hunt her down, and then Timmy Hansen, 2019 World Rallycross champion, will be the third car out unless any of them have problems, and he will also have to go a-hunting in this second and final lap of semi-final 2.
Now, of course, they don't need, do they, to catch Sarah. What they need is to get out in front of... So basically, this is a two-car race for second. Yeah. If they can both catch Sarah, they can both go through. But there's an argument, Jenny, that they should catch Sarah as, you know, as a pair. They could both go through, but they're never going to think that. They're both going to be thinking only one of us is going to make it. And Sarah, with a 15-second lead, is well capable of holding these two off. So I think this is a proper fight between them for the last spot in the final.
Seen it change, by the way, in the Traction Challenge winner at the moment. X44 have taken the fastest sector time, so 5 points of additional bonus for the weekend at the moment would be going to them. Let's see if anyone else can challenge.
Oh,
that's a massive roll for Hansen. Oh, he hit the tuft of grass. It sent the car flicking over, and that is absolutely gutting for Timmy.
I was hoping it was going to land on its wheels, because it's not a hard impact. It wasn't a big shunt. It was just a bad bounce. The sand's come in through the window, and unfortunately, Genesis Andretti United, that's the question answered, will not be in the final. So if you're Chip Ganassi Racing now, you get on the radio to Sarah and you say it's job done, you're in, just chill. And the same really for Carlos Sainz. He can just lift now and bring the car home. That's a real shame. It's a shame for us. Obviously, it's a shame for Andretti United, but I was looking forward to a mega battle between Hansen and Sainz. Timmy now climbing up through the passenger side of the car.
Oh, dear. What a way to end your weekend. That is... I mean, we knew, didn't we? There were so many ruts in here. You have to be very careful with the way you position the car, but there's nothing he could have done about that. It just flicked very unkindly. He's not hurt, which is the main thing. As you can see, Price getting caught up a little bit where we saw RXR getting caught up as well. So that's a real trap. That's
the same bounce that Arlen Kotlinski got, and I think that's a little bit of a sign that, you know, sometimes it's not in the driver's hands. There is Timmy out of the car. He's absolutely fine, but he will be very, very disappointed.
This was such a good weekend for them. It looked so positive. Rachel, their PR lady, heavily pregnant at home. I hope she's okay. She would have been watching that squealing at the TV, I'm sure.
Let's take another look at Timmy's incident. So, look, he looks for an alternate line behind Sainz. He goes to the inside, but unfortunately, Camel Grass just limits out the front left suspension. The car bounces badly, and if that had come back on its wheels, Jenny, you see what I mean. There's no big impact at all. Here we are, look, you're on board. He slots out to the left. He maybe doesn't realise it's quite there, and over it goes. It's not a heavy impact, but it's on its side. Game over. There it is from the back of Carlos's car. And then the sand as the final insult, you know, pouring in through the side of the car. Here we go, watch on board with Timmy now. And there it is, door open and sand in. Yeah, cheers. That's insult to injury, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it does take the pressure off of these two as they cruise round, because two go through, one goes out, so we know what that is. But Katie Munnings must be absolutely gutted, and it's a pretty unpleasant experience watching your fellow teammate rolling around in the sand in a car in an Odyssey 21.
I was looking forward to the race.
Yeah,
I really was. But there you go. Look, you know, the track is as much of a challenge as the race is. Timmy got a bad bounce. Sarah gets a bounce off that same rut that got Sebastian Loeb on day one, wasn't it? Who got a huge two-wheel moment there. Come on, Sarah, let's get this home. So she was 15 seconds up the road from Carlos Sainz. He's closed that down by about 8. The team have probably made her aware that she doesn't need to do anything too crazy. She's just got to get the car to the finish. She's got just the one jump to go. Sarah Price coming down the hill. Her and Carl Duke will be going through to the final for the second time in their Extreme E history. Let's hope they have a better run this time than they did last year. Brilliant job by Chip Ganassi Racing. The Hummer EV are through to the final. Carlos Sainz crosses the line, and the Dakar legend with his teammate Leia Sands will also be up for the win here in round 1 of Extreme E.
Great stuff there. Well done to Ganassi, Chip Ganassi. They've battled hard to try and get some reliability in their Hummer EV, to get some luck as well, and you can see what it means to Sarah Price as she takes off her gloves. Just does a little sigh of relief. They are through.
Relief, isn't it? Definitely, Jenny, is the word. Bang on the money.
Oof.
There it is. Look, yeah, big sigh, big sigh. Faces the car forward, and one of the mechanics now will guide her back into the tent. No work. I mean, there is work to do on the car, but you know what I mean, don't you, Jenny? No major moments, no major dramas. This is a chill weekend for Chip Ganassi Racing.